Alrighty. So, we are going to get into RTHD and show what that is about. Now, I'm level 23. But, and do note that opening the menus in this game, there's a decent delay between when you press the button and when the menu actually opens. Um, like 5 to 10 second delay type thing. But it's not that bad, really, when there's not many menus to enter. There's the dealership, the tuning, and the customization, and the upgrades. That's it. So, like 4 or 5 menus at most. This one, the 4310, the Kamaz 4310. This is my most powerful. It's my most capable truck currently, but it looks really rough. And it's going to stay looking that way. I'm not touching that truck from the way it is now. It's done the way I want it to be done. The starter truck would be the 130 on the far end here on the top left, which mine is lightly upgraded. We can go back. It is on the stock tire. I did have that bumper was upgraded. And improve, which is your power upgrades and that. Power, speed, and brake. I have that upgraded decently. So I have it upgraded a little bit from what it came. Not too upgraded, just a little upgraded. I, for some reason, thought I had these. I thought I had these. Maybe I did way in the past on my original first account. This is my second account. Because my original first account was not on this phone and not saved to my Google Play account. It was just a local save to that phone, and I do not have that phone anymore. I don't need to mess with that right now. I do have the upgrade from that, the 4x4 version. I can't remember what the price of it was. I just recently got it. I've got lightly upgraded tires on it. And it's factory bumper and just cleaned up paint. I just cleaned it up lightly from what it was, what it came as. It basically comes identical to the starter one, the rear wheel drive, except it has 4-wheel drive. I feel like it has better ground clearance as well, but that could just be the tires that I have on it. But it's a nice little truck. I then have the whole top line, which the 66 up here, I don't know. The Kamaz is the only one I actually know by real name. I just got this one recently. And I really like the way it looks. It's a 4x4 COE, which I like COEs. Anybody who doesn't know what COE stands for, cab over engine, that's exactly what this is. I think COEs are cool. I wish the interior was cleaned up, and there's nothing I can do about that. because it doesn't change with the paint. At least I don't think it did. No, the seats don't change. If I could change the seat color and texture, that way the seats looked nice and cleaned up, then I would. Was that last option? Or was I just seeing things? The white one. No, the white just made it look like the seats were cleaned up. Made it look like the seats were black. Leather black. This is the truck we'll be getting next. The 131 6x6. Which, it doesn't look to be too different from the 6x6 I just got, which is the one that, the ones that's just before it. It was the one that we were sitting in when we first started recording, the 157. Which this is what we'll be using when we take off. I just want to make sure I go over the last couple vehicles here and last few lines. Also on the left side here, these are insanely expensive. It is a little bit of a pain how long it takes for the menu to load to open, but the bottom line here, I would recommend for any new player going from the 130 to go to the four-wheel drive 130, and then to go to the 157, and then the 509A, skip the other 130, because there's no need for it. You have to get the four-wheel drive anyways, right? And so you can either get the 6x6 and use that to grind for the 509, or you can get the other rear-wheel drive 130, which would be a downgrade. So it's like you can take the upgrade path or the downgrade path. Either way, if you take the upgrade path, it's 500k. And then this four-wheel drive that you would need to go down, if you were to take my suggestion of what line to follow, this is what I'll be doing. Get that 4x4 for 1 mil flat. That way you can go down, get the 5434, and go down that line. The Kamaz is good. What I really want is the 133H, the 6x4. But the bottom line will get you to the 8x8, which is really good. Very much so. People are shooting fireworks. Fun. The Chevy 4x4 is 1.5 million. I plan on getting that eventually. But my next two vehicles will be the 131 and the 509. And from the 509, I'm going to get the 133H, and then I'm going to do the whole bottom line, which goes the 5434, 6317, 255, 260, and the 537. And I don't want the 543 because that is a massive rig to be two-wheel drive, and I don't trust that. I don't know like that. Yeah, And that's got to be hella expensive for a two-wheel drive. Well, I get it's probably got some special options for certain trailers, but it's not worth the struggle of a two-wheel drive. For something that big, you want all-wheel drive. Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. These vehicles on the left are all insanely good. They're also insanely expensive, like up to 70 million, maybe even more type expensive. It's stupid. So we are going to get into a map, not match. I'm so used to I've been into Lost Light so much recently that it's like going into a match. Nope. Lost Town, and I think Stone Valley as well. Stone Valley, maybe not. Lost Town for sure. You can Lost Town map is only on multiplayer. In single player mode, you cannot play on the Lost Town map. It is not in the selection option. Server 1. So, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because of how easy it is to make money on the Lost Town map, which is the map I always run. No point in constantly changing low power pressure is just getting more traction. It's not going to take away very much. So and I don't even need to be flat out either. I don't even need to be 50%. I don't even need 50%. But 50% is what I like to hold. Now, I find the the 6x6s and bigger all have a stability advantage at higher speeds compared to something that's only on 4 wheels, you know? The triple axle has advantage over dual. Extra stability, but less lacking in agility and speed, I guess. This will have 4320 repair, whatever you would call this, I don't know. Something like which I will demonstrate this on the downhill because it's extremely useful and it's sometimes it's necessary in order to go down something that's rough and steep without damaging your vehicle, which we will demonstrate when we come down the mountain, which is not far. The mountain is literally right there, floating in. As you can see, as we slowly get closer, that's the mountain we're going up. It's not far. However, you do want to run light loads going up, because it does get steep, and it does get rough. But it only gets rough in two places, really. But it does get steep. I recommend running lighter loads going up. It's easier on your truck. You can run heavy loads going up, depending. Of course, there's certain limits. Like, if I were to try and haul, I don't know if the weight is in pounds or kilograms. I'm going to assume it's in kilograms. I didn't even need that. I just took off my book. There we go. Come on, bite. There we go. Now I can unlock my bit. If you don't unlock your bit and you exceed 20 kilometers an hour, I think it's 20 kilometers an hour, you will be getting a warning for potential damage, and if you ignore that warning and continue driving at higher speeds than your lock stick can handle, which I'm pretty sure is a max of 20 kilometers an hour, then your truck will take damage. Which, I'm not sure how legit that is. I don't think it's that accurate to how that works, but maybe. I'm not an expert. I'm not a mechanic, so. I just like driving vehicles. And shooting guns. I like doing the fun stuff. I don't want to hit this too fast because I don't want to take damage. And I have the wall too close and I take damage. That was, this is interior view. We'll climb up here, no problem. With a two-wheel drive, I would recommend taking the lightest load possible on the uphill, because, that's rough. Really rough. I think it'll even show more drastically on the downhill. For demonstration, I'll show you what happens if you try to switch out of all-wheel drive while you're moving. Yeah. Same with the low range, which is this. This is low range, and then back to high. repair my truck quickly. It's a good thing that I'm carrying this. I don't even have to open the menu to close that. Once I start moving, it automatically closes, which is quite convenient. Also, if somebody else repairs under your repair kit, you get 50% of what they paid. So if they took $10,000 of damage, you get $5,000 if they're repairing under your repair kit. So you can profit just by running fuel or a repair kit and running out on the trail for people. But it's not something that you would be able to consistently make profit off of over and over again. It's not career type profit. As you can see, the weight loads get up there as the level gets higher. 48,000 is wild. Because 17,000 is what we have. We can do 22. I could do 20.6, and that would be in a stable single trailer, which I would prefer. I don't like D-frame dual trailer because if I slow down that and I'm in mid-corner reducing speed, that trailer is not... Oh wait, it is, but it's just on one of those weird steering... Okay, so it's not as bad as I thought. Do we have a proper D-frame like I'm thinking? No, it's the big trucks that have that. It's basically a D-frame, but not really, because I'm only pulling one trailer. The other part of the load is on the back of my truck. That's why I'm thinking it's a D-frame. I don't like the swivel axle in the front. I like the solid trailer more. But this is my heaviest, so we'll run it for the sake of it being my heaviest. I do find that the roadblock, 17,800 in weight, those actually seem the best for some reason. At least that's what I've found. Which is interesting, because they're a much lower level requirement than the heavier loads that I'm, like the one I'm pulling right now, the 2200, or 22,000, sorry. I'm not good with numbers. This is what I like about fur. It just to engine RPM. I don't recommend going over 10 kilometers an hour. Unless you have higher ground clearance than what I currently have. In which case, you likely can go faster than I can go because you have more ground clearance than me. But if you're just starting off, I would recommend taking that just as slow as possible for that part. Because it's only one part per entire trail. I mean, you do it again at the other part. But aside from that, you don't have to worry about it. See, I don't like the way that trailer moves. I don't like that the front axle pivots. I don't know what the proper terms are to describe what that actually is. I don't know trailer names and definitions and style pictures. I just know I like the ones that are solid, without the pivoting axle. See, I was aggressive with that. I could have been a lot more gentle. I probably should have, but I didn't take any damage. So, no harm, no foul, right? Oh no. Tokyo Drift? That's what happens when you accidentally change the camera to one of the camera modes, and it's the camera mode that you really are bad at driving in. So you just have to keep changing it and hope that you can change it before you end up dying. I don't know how long this video is going to be, by the way. It might go for an hour maybe, give or take, I don't know. I never really specifically plan out how long I'm going to record for. So, I just run it, and whenever I feel like something is what I say. I should have let that pop-up spin second for longer. My latest load is 3,000. I don't know if that... I don't think that's the same for the starter truck. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. I currently run the K4320 because, one, it fits the truck, it looks good on the truck, and two, it's a solid weight, and it's not a bad tow. It's not too much weight, it's not really too little weight, so I like it. And it looks nice. I think looks are my main... looks and functionality. Do a bit of space correction. Because why not? The camera turns as we turn. That was slightly scary, I'll be honest. bit scary in first person if you don't know the map, because you can, not even you can, you do, in a lot of situations, end up staring at the sky, not really being able to see the ground you're driving on. And it's like, am I about to slip or fall off a cliff? Especially on a map like this. I have fallen off the cliff side of this mountain many times. 90% of the time was from reckless driving. But, hey, details, don't worry about it. I have since learned that it is better to take things at manageable speed. Fully locked in, though. Come on. Come on. Come on. You can do it. They all basically, I think they all sound the same. I haven't driven all of them. But out of the ones I've driven, they all sound roughly the same, if not exactly the same. If there is a difference between the sounds of the text, it's not really noticeable for me. Okay, so for visual representation, I'm not able to zoom out. Okay. This time, we will take our second heaviest that we are able to. Once I get to level 24, I'll probably start taking whatever that repair unit is, because it's probably, it'll probably be single trailer without steering axle, and it's heavier than the heaviest one I have. It'll probably give me the best payout. I'm hoping that it's going to end up giving me a better payout than what the roadblocks give me, which, from what I remember, the roadblocks are my best thing. But I'm going to take this down just because it's my next in line heaviest. And after this load, I'll take down the roadblocks and compare the price of the roadblock to this one. And if I still haven't unlocked the level 24 repair unit trailer, then I'll do the fuel one that we first did on our first downhill. Just to keep the cycling through my heaviest, my 3 heaviest. if that trailer had a steering axle on it, and the second I hit that rock, and my truck comes to a brief abrupt stop, that trailer would still want to go one direction or the other and just turn the steering axle, just because of the weight. 20,000, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's pounds or kilograms at that point. 20,000 anything, that's heavy, right? So, and that, if I recall, that specific load is 2,400. And this is what I mean by you can't really see the ground you're driving on. It can be scary if you don't know that. And these are factory brakes. This is full on, yeah. I'm sure you can hear it. Turn on our headlights. I don't think I need my brights. The only one in the service. I mean, I don't worry too much about fuel consumption. Oh, that's not good. And never keep the accelerator 100% up when restarting a stalled engine. It'll just keep stalling back out. It just floods it. So you can keep a little bit of throttle on it. You can even keep a lot of good throttle on it. And that's how they made the system in game. So long as it's not 100% on the accelerator, then the engine will start back up without being flooded. Somebody else in the server. I haven't run first person in this game in years. But it is enjoyable. 100%. I think it's enjoyable. That blue light that's glowing off to the right, I believe that's a repair station, but if you use that, you have to watch an ad and pay, which is kind of fucked up. Whereas if you just grab a repair kit trailer, you can do it without having to watch an ad. Same for the fuel station. If you go to the fuel station and refuel, it makes you watch an ad and pay for your refuel, when you can just go to the trailer, import, export, whatever, trailer station, and grab a fuel or repair unit, whichever you need, and do that. You only have to pay, you don't have to watch anything. As we saw when my truck got damaged and I first had to repair it. So that gives me 6296, but 3659 XP. GRT doesn't really matter to me. If I'm to get GRT, I would go for the question marks on the minimap, which are special boxes. they're basically cash boxes with XP golden cash, and they get randomly generated once there's a certain amount of people in the server. I don't need to refuel. I'm fine. Now I've closed that. Without I don't know. I'm okay. I want to get my third-person camera back the way I wanted it. I understand you want to make money off me, but I don't need to refuel. I normally don't refuel until I get under half a tank. And I am still probably 2 or 3 trips away from being half tank. Where's the 43 property? Okay, now, if I just drive away, all of this will close, and I don't have to worry about it continually popping up. There we go. I can be very picky with getting the RPMs set right. No point using any more fuel than I need to, right? 34 liters an hour. I'm assuming it's Spanish. I only speak English. But I'm assuming they're asking because they're mentioning gas. I assume Spanish because they said amigo. I imagine they were asking if I need gas. I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Because would saying no in English make sense if I don't even 100% know like the words that were spoken there? I don't even know how to pronounce the second word. I'm not even going to try, because I have no clue how to pronounce that. So the respectful thing to do would be to not say anything at all. Because not saying anything at all would be better than saying something when I don't even know what I'm supposed to be saying. I don't know what I'm replying to. I have an assumption, but I cannot legibly read what was written out. See how high the fuel consumption gets if I leave it in all wheel? It goes up to 100. Ah! I deactivated it too soon. I attempted to deactivate it too soon. I should keep my headlights on, it's pretty foggy. I know there's nobody else up here yet. I always stick off to the right, because you are supposed to drive on the right side of the road. All of the signs support that. All of the road signs on the map, I mean, support that. So I drive on the right side of the road. I always stick to the right, that way anybody coming up behind me can get around me. If they're much faster than I am, whatever. I don't really care about being passed up. I'm not trying to block people off. I do try to be aware of where people are, that way I don't accidentally turn in front of them or turn into them and cause collision, you know? spatial awareness is something good to have, which that's the button that's right beside my camera is what flips my view back and forth. And if I turn my camera and then I press my camera button, it resets, which is really nice. I enjoy that very much. This is the appropriate way to attack it. Wanted to time that right, so I was accelerating when I unlocked, but still at essentially 0 kilometers an hour to ensure that it wasn't going to give me any damage. Yeah, I didn't show. I will have to show this later before I end the recording, which hopefully I'll remember. But how I have my settings set up the way I do, because as you see, if you press the X in the top corner, that doesn't give you any way to change your settings. And there's no other buttons you can see for settings, and nothing in the menu I pull up at the bottom, which I will open and display when we grab this menu I'm referring to. We are really close. Damn. That's really, really close. Like, I don't know the exact number for that, but roughly 100 points away. That is out of 330,000. That is right on the edge. So on this downhill, which this is roadblocks, right? I'm pretty sure this is roadblock. That was supposed to be a stay in order. And then if we weren't leveled up after this, we were going to go back to the first one that we hold on the downhill. But we 100% most definitely are going to be leveling up. So our next downhill haul will be that Blue Point repair trailer. As you can see, there's nowhere in this menu to change your settings either. Changing your settings is something you do from the main start menu in your garage, which I will try to make sure I go over before and recording. Always reverse prior to the incline getting steep. Incline or decline. Prior to the rough terrain that you may be facing, it's always best to reduce speed for control, damage, and safety purposes. I know that there's no traffic as far as I can see. If I see traffic, then I'm going to make sure I get my line back to the right. But otherwise, I want to stay clear of those rocks. However, this is blind. On blind corners like this, I would like to reduce speed just for the safety of if anybody comes flying around that corner, you know. Hate to be in the middle of the road and have someone come flying around that corner and just send you flying off the mountain. That would, forget making the fall, you have to completely repair your entire truck, which is probably going to get quite fully destroyed. Got them angles. And like you don't want to fall off there. Definitely one of those mountains where if you screw around in the wrong way, it will punish you by just completely throwing you into a pit and destroying your truck. And don't end up in the water, and that'll just murder you. Even if you have the best of best truck, 12x12, doesn't matter. Water will drown your truck if you submerge. Well, not even if you submerge. Once you get to a certain point of depth in the water, your truck takes damage and stalls completely. And sometimes you get reset back to the original spawn point. Scary. People cut in from that right in between the rock and the sea-can there all the time. I thought he was going to do that, and I was going to end up T-boning him, or that he was going to end up T-boning me. That was a bit loud than I needed to be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's better XP and RT than the heavier loads. Which doesn't make sense, because you'd think that the heavier load, as I level up, would be more difficult. Once you gotta level up, you're gonna run lighter load, lightest load possible, and we're gonna speed run our way up. When we get up there, we will we can refuel when we get back down. We'll refuel when we come back down, because now we're just dropping below half tank. So on the way back down, when we get to the bottom, we'll equip a fuel unit and refuel. I'm burning way more fuel than I used to. I'm really not worried about going 20 seconds faster than I would be if I were flat out. The gears don't need to go flat out because the proper doing. I shouldn't need to downshift. At least not yet, I didn't. You normally try to keep momentum as much as you can, but if you have too much momentum over too rough a surface, you can take damage quite easily. This great solves the problem with four-wheel drive and dick lock. I think so long as you're under 10 kilometers now, but I genuinely wouldn't want to try going past 7. I'd say stay under 7 kilometers an hour when activating and deactivating your four-wheel drive, otherwise you're probably going to get damaged. which I'm also pretty sure that's not very legit, but I'm also not a mechanic or an expert, so. Can't even see. K222. What does that even mean? I wonder if that's one of the trailers. I want to hold momentum, but not too much momentum. Nearly sputtered. It took me a long time before I learned that line. The line people normally take is follow that. And you normally climb in it very weirdly. But I started experimenting with it a week ago. And I started experimenting with the right side to see if you could get a smoother line and hold momentum. And I came up with that line that we just took. Hugging the right side, just on the edge of that rock. And you hold not too much momentum, but enough to get you up a ways. And you just walk into four-wheel, or you just walk into whatever you need when your momentum reduces, you know. So now, wow, present this was nice. Not exactly matching my truck. I'm kind of confused. What's going on here with the green front but blue cover and white doors? Very interesting. I think the trailer sound itself is nice though. I like the big box thing. You can see she's really working hard. I don't need to be going that fast. I know the speed limit is 30 and I was only doing 30, but I don't need to be going 30. Preemptively walking to first. And as you get closer, you can slowly reduce momentum. And slowly you can sweeper. Momentum's reduced as far as I want to go without risking it. Just letting go of the clutch completely and coasting. But putting in the clutch and coasting. I mean, there might be some people out there, but oftentimes those people don't stick around for long because they get banned pretty quickly. Fair play is pretty strict around here, which is good in my opinion. less people harassing you, ruining your trucking experience. It's not seen very often where there's ignorance in this community. I know seeing through rocks isn't very legit, but at the same time, it's kind of nice because I can still at least see what's going on, mostly. Wow, I love watching this suspension move like that. And there are much harder trails, and if I go down further down the trail, instead of just stopping at the trailer station up top, if I were to go left and go further down the trail, it gets really rough. And if I were to go all the way to the end, it would get pretty rough by the end until you reach the ending. The ending part is fully paved. I'm pretty sure if I remember. Should we take a trip to the end? Why not? This truck can take a trip to the end. I haven't been down to the end in a long time, and I'm pretty sure the last truck I did it with would have been my 4310 to Mars. Pretty sure it was 4310. I'm not good at remembering things. That's something I found is in the second gear, as long as you're not fully on the throttle at a standstill, it won't stall. $5,500, isn't that much lesser? Don't we normally get 6,000? Sorry, I'm just dealing with something really quick. Now we need to refuel. Close that menu for now. Open the refuel. Almost 15,000 to refuel. But it's no doubt we've made more than 15,000 off of that one time. So lightest load possible, and it's a repair kit, which is perfect because we're not going to run out of fuel. I don't think we shouldn't. I'm more worried about damage than I am fuel because we're running light. And when we're running light, you don't have to worry about heavy fuel consumption from heavy engine workload. Oh yeah, she's gonna do it without downshifting this time. All the way up to the rough spot. Rough spot number 1. Here I come. Drop down to second. Damn it. I'm surprised it didn't give us damage. It gave us a notification warning, but didn't give us damage. I tried to lock our diff while we were in second row. At the moment that it gave that warning was the moment that I tried to lock the diff. And we were too high of speed at that moment. Too soon. Now, just didn't have enough momentum to get over that little ledge. Just barely. There would be nobody up above me yet. I didn't see anybody go out this way. Possible, but a 6 to right nonetheless. Drop the 4th, drop the 3rd. It can hold 3rd. Barely, but it can hold 3rd. 4th. 5th. Let off. Not heavy. And once you get here, it seems to have decent traction somewhat to the left. Kind of directly straight from where I'm facing right now. If I just let it go straight through it. Grab. Drop it in low. Just light assistance from 4-wheel low. Yeah, so like a two-wheel drive will struggle getting up that part, especially with a heavy load. Realistically, any load will make it struggle getting up that part. It'll probably struggle, it might not struggle getting up that part without a load, maybe. Technically, you probably could drive it up without a load and take loads down, but that'd be a whole trip up that you're not getting paid for. Because this trail gets rough, especially if I'm testing the trail itself. It's quite rough. And these brakes are pretty stiff. They're old. If all of these trucks are old, almost. I'm pretty sure it's also just the braking system itself. Brake, keep the front locked in the rear. Not. people will go through. They'll just plug their arms straight and take it head on. What you really do is angry yourself so that you're not going to take damage. All trucks have locking discs. From, as far as I know, all trucks have locking discs. The starter truck has a locking disc. And you can do that with the starter truck. I don't think the starter truck can make it all the way down this trail without upgrades. With really good tires and clearance and good power, and if you know the right lines, maybe. I think I'd rather just keep it in first, flat out, just strictly make it walk at basically 20 kilometers an hour, just shy. Just to prevent taking damage from my front bumper hitting the ground or something, which happens quite often at high speed, and will cause high amounts of damage depending on how fast you're going and how hard the hit is. Forgot about that one, and I'm gonna have to go through it again too. I caught that just in time. Yeah, here's where it gets really rough. Locking diff. My camera's coming in the wrong direction. This truck's got pretty good suspension travel to it. The starter truck doesn't have this good of ground clearance. The starter truck struggles going down that to not take damage. And as we go on, it's only going to get rougher. And the starter truck would end right here. From stock with no upgrades, right here. You would not be able to make it up here. If it can get up it and rear wheel, which is still 4-wheel drive, 6x6. That back, rear back tire is spinning. We're doing the bike though. We are not pretty sure that we are not going to make it up without our front tires sticking up. That good old all-wheel drive. Now is where it becomes pretty difficult to decipher the trail. I'm pretty sure you can take a right this way. Or is that this? There. Get out of wheel range, that way I can actually have some speed and space. Save fuel. I'm gonna That's okay. That is too steep. Right? And that's how you do it without getting high centered. I always keep low tires up here though. Always keep those tires grippy. As grippy as they can be. God, I love how the environment is made too. It's by far the most realistic off-road trucking game for mobile, at least. The piece of the project if I remember, there's a portion of this trail that I really hate that has to do with logs and driving on top of logs or in between logs or something like that. And that is gas. Dangerous water level. This is not good, you're not leaving it anymore. Here's where you mess with the tire pressure. If you're high centered on something, you could just need that little extra bit. Oh my god, we just almost inside of this road. That's height. It's not much. Sometimes it's all you need to get out of the pinch that you're in. Sometimes, not often. There's not enough distance for me to bother unlocking it. I have to find that. Ain't that something? I just didn't want to dive into that and not have enough clearance on my front bumper to climb out and end up just driving into a hole. Driving into a hole isn't very pleasant. That is me. No, not exactly. Well, it is saving fuel. Not good. We brought a repair kit. Now, we have to hope to God we can pull our stand up. Hell yeah. That got real dangerous, real quick. Ooh, that was good. That's right up. It's going to be right up to the right here. Alright, well, I don't know where we're going. Like, we're going to climb up in this way. Okay. Now. Okay. That did cost us a little bit of money. And now you guys have seen what happens when you flood your truck. You do that twice, and your truck receives full damage. And I think it sends you back to the way the suspension works is great. Yeah, it's definitely a long haul to get to the end. Oh god, let's not have a repeat. Come on. Oh, that was scary. I really thought we were going to have a repeat there for a moment. And it was like, please, no, not another 16,000. We still have 250K, which I think is more than what we saved recording. So long as we're over 200,000 by the end, I'm happy. I don't care if it's 201,000. When we reach the end of this trail, If you can even make it there, that is. I'm not even fully sure that this quick cyclist can make it there. Therefore, even an upgraded stock two-wheel drive, an upgraded four-wheel drive with any of the stuff that aren't magic, would probably either really struggle or just not make it ever. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. I don't like that. Thanks, Brandon. All those parts of gas, I don't know how to use those tiny little gas suckers that right there, that is totally wrong on paper. Okay. That's a little fun. You get another reason to super this one out on the power. I don't even know if we can come over that way or if we have to go that way. I don't know. Very confused. Follow this straight line to the right. Hold on. Bit of angle. Not enough angle. And I'm going to end up drowning. Oh no, the back is sliding. It's okay. The back is sliding. Ooh, scary. Don't roll. Don't roll. Very scary. Okay, and that is why angles are important. Yeah. This here actually looks the best path. Now these are stock tires, but still, it's a 6x6. It's pretty capable. And it does have engine power upgrades on it. I think it's on level 5, but I'm not fully sure. It might be level 4, possibly level 3, but I was pretty sure it was on level 5. But I have been wrong before in the past on random things that I thought. I didn't realize I'd already unlocked it. And back to the left track. drive is still 4-wheel drive with this, so I'm technically open diff 4-wheel drive high right now. All-wheel drive is 6-wheel drive, so it makes sense why it's performing so well in rear-wheel. That's why I want that 133. I know it'll do good even in rear-wheel drive, because rear-wheel drive would still be 4-wheel drive with 6x6. Here's the castrate. Exactly what I was referencing earlier. I should know better by now. What the fuck? Oh, I'm in the That's what the fuck's going on. Within a certain distance of one of these, you claim it. 11,000 RT, 14 GRT, and 1,267 XT. 11,737 RT, that's solid. And those will spawn around that. When you hear the loud horn that will sound, that's when a new one spawns. Only one spawns at a time. So wherever the next one spawns, it will stay there until someone selects it. And then a little while after someone selects it, a new one will spawn. Exactly where that one is. It's actually decently easy to get to. It's way far away from us right now. There's a reason I came up here. More grip than down there. Down there, we wouldn't be moving half the speed without doing, in my rear-wheel drive, without being diff locked. We'd need to keep it in 4-wheel at least to be moving these speeds from that swamp. That dropped out from underneath more than I expected. Yeah, it's a good long journey all the way to the end. I have to speed up just to slow down. Yeah, I got speed up to a little bit, which is nice for that little bit, even if it is just a little bit. See, I'd have been completely screwed if I hadn't brought the repair kit and then brought a fuel kit instead. I'd have been completely screwed because of my starter. Because I wouldn't have been able to repair my truck without somebody else coming with a repair kit. However, I have to make sure that I get there before I run out of fuel. Otherwise, I run out of fuel. So, that's why I want to conserve my fuel as much as I can. Like this, the best thing is just run light throttle in second gear. And when it's rough like this, I hope I don't hit a sweet spot and run light throttle in first gear. Good thing I wasn't moving too fast. Yeah, see, had I gone down there, it would have just been a harder climb than when I just did here. Even 6 kilometers an hour, so it has to be 5 kilometers an hour. That is gosh. I think anything under 10 kilometers an hour should be acceptable. Like, that's the task that leads up to here. There's the road. We're right at the end. That's not the task that leads up to here. So hard to decipher the path. Oh, I see it now. It continues to trail along here. So that's the part that leads up to here. Alright. Now I know where I am and where I'm going. Oh, I can see that road just across the way there. Now, this is going to be difficult. Okay. That was a lot smoother and safer than I thought it was. And now we're going to hope that this doesn't get me. I'm trying to improve. rough conditions like this really go and show off just how good they did working with the suspension. Like, it looks so good seeing these connections bouncing all over like that, as it would. Just working up and down over every bump. Come down here from that spot, because I know from that spot we got down nice and smooth. I knew I saw it, and I knew it was a smooth way down. I didn't know that down there was a smooth way down too. But I'd have rather taken the route that I was sure was smooth than taking a route that I wasn't sure was smooth and found out that it was rough and have just missed an opportunity on, damn it, a smoother path. Contact point to ground even. And this is the end. This is the end road. You see going on here, I believe it just ends. Yeah, literally just ends. So, that wasn't very nice. I was going to brake and turn around, but it stopped me before I was able to. So note, if you have a long load, do not turn right. Don't, because you won't be able to turn around and you will have to back that load all the way to that entrance gate, and it will be a shit. So, don't take a long load and turn right. Turn left with a long load. And this is the end bit. I love this map. This is my favorite map by far. The Lost Town map. By far my favorite map. The loads we were doing, just going up the mountain and down the mountain, that's what I normally run. You really get rid of this money when you have a truck that's capable of making it through those two rough parts. And the more fuel you save when doing so, the better. I believe that's another repair station. I like how this road is almost like a cove, which is really cool to see in a game like this. genuinely think this is the ultimate best offload game for mobile devices. And best trucking game in my opinion. I like the old school trucks. We do have some newer space trucks from what I've seen. Maybe not many, but I know there's at least one or two. We don't have the common trucks you would see in most trucking games, but this is Russian based, so it makes sense for what is Russian based. Let's see. We're gonna get 16,000 for that. That's a pretty good paycheck. I wanted to return. That's interesting how you'd still let me repair afterwards. We're going to refuel. Fault would make it back. And are we taking it away? No. Because that's one hell of a trip. You know, it's just for 16K. The amount of time it took us to do that one trip, there's a lot of other trips we could have done. I like being able to connect it like. We could have made a lot more money in that time just going up and down the mountain, running on normal roads. But the experience is you're only able to get that experience by doing that trip, right? And so there is an experience factor to it where it's like you have to go through the challenge of a long haul in very rough circumstances. This is one of the reasons why you're not carrying the load right now. It's the one that comes down here. Go back to the shop, pick up a repair trailer and fix my truck before going back to the main menu, then I can. That looks like the road down to my left. Is that the road we came up on? Yeah, it looks like the take off to the left down too. Okay, I forgot that. If you have any throwing to the north, please get locked in. I don't need fuel, but that is another fuel station. So let's go see if that fuel does extend off to the right here. I love using 6x6 and bigger rigs for shredding, because shredding is something you do with a small rig normally. That's the rig we came in on. Next time. We're doing 3 Damn. And I thought it was going to be an hour to this day. Actually, it said 2 hours to this day. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So if you really, really, really don't want to, and you have a light load, and you want to keep the load, run along the shore and go up that hill. And hop onto that little trail and it'll stick you right back up at the entrance. I actually really like that little road. It's not really little. I like that road. Oh, now we have to go back up. I'm surprised we didn't get damaged from that left up there. Okay, so maybe it's a bit more rough than... Oh, ouch. It's a bit rough compared to taking the road. So we'll go back up to the top. We'll repair. We'll run the road back down and run the road back up. That way we've actually driven the road down. Just so we can get that downhill charge experience, even though it's not much of a hill. Okay, so maybe I'm just a little bit too sharp. And it's nighttime too. Perfect. Initial B vibes in RTHD. I feel like talking too much. Running the mountain pass in the middle of the night. Hey, we're ripping for a 6x6, 70 kilometers an hour. That's pretty quick. I haven't even upgraded the speed on this either. I've only upgraded the power. Now, I don't really care about it going fast, but 70 kilometers an hour is pretty damn good. At least I think so. Downhill run in third person and first person. What was the downhill run in first person? you're quick enough with it, you can use first gear as a brake. Repair. Then it senses me using the circle, so it's just taking it. Maybe I'll add it up through. Give you one when you first enter, and then as you're exiting, it'll pop back up. Remove cargo. Process. Let's see if it'll do what I'm talking about. So as I'm leaving, it should pop up the list again. Like that. Yeah, exactly. But it's already popped up the list once when you entered, right? So it pops up the list twice when you enter, and then as you're exiting, it pops up. I don't know why. But so we'll run the downhill in third person, and then uphill we'll run in third person, in which we'll finish just the uphill. We'll refuel, head back to the garage, and remain in the garage and go over the settings. Because that is the last thing I have to go over, I believe. Because single player is the same type of thing, it's just you don't get the lost time map in single player. This has been very enjoyable though. I've definitely got sidetracked all the time. I think I was doing okay on time, and then I decided that I was going to go all the way to the end, and that's where things became elongated, I think. But, I mean, it's quite a trip, and it is quite the experience to go down that trail. It's cool to see if you play the game and haven't been down there. You get to at least know what's down there, know whether or not it's worth going down there. The lightest load possible paid out 16K. So if you have an 8x8 or a really, really good 6x6, and I mean like way better than this, like you want to be lifted off the ground a good ways. You saw what we went through. Pretty rough. But if you have something that can handle all that with ease, well then it becomes quite profitable. So long as you can do it with ease. But it is a long distance trip, so fuel consumption becomes a thing. And then you're fighting the price of fuel consumption. I like how the camera can work the steering wheel. I find it interesting how I'm sitting slightly off the right of the steering wheel. At least it appears that way. That is how my camera view is positioned. I can't adjust that. First person view is first person view. It would be cool to have working rearview mirrors, but I understand certain limitations and certain priorities too. third person. Okay, that camera's reset. You keep it flat out and fifth the whole way. As I did before. When I get to the end, I put the fuel tanker, and when I refill, I'll fill my engine before I do it. Just try and make sure I get a perfect full tank of gas. I fill my engine before I refill, and then I return to my garage. And that ensures that I get a perfect full tank of gas, and then I get lost to idling before I exit. We're stealing it. It's mine. It's keeping it forever. Kill engine. $255. So what, we made 5K since coming down here? Oh, wait. 251. We broke even because we left with 250. I'm pretty sure we left with 250 from our normal hauls when we started going down the heavy trail. We left with 250. I was almost certain. Or we had 250 after we repaired from our flood. Something like that. Somewhere along the line we had 250, and I kind of used that as my marker. And we're back to 250. So, it's not a loss or a win. I mean, I guess it's kind of a win because we're over 200,000, which was my bottom line. I did say, so long as I'm over 200,000, I'm happy. And I am. And we're 50K over that, so that's awesome. So, that is good. But you guys can always rewind the footage and see how much money we had where and what was making the best profits. But 16K out of the lightest load in the game makes you wonder how much the guys that are running the 8x8s and the 12x12s with heavy loads are making, because those guys will run that trip back and forth like just butter, just like guy did running the mountain trips up and down. Just like my short hauls, except they'll do long hauls like it was nothing, because they have vehicles that are capable of making that kind of terrain look minuscule. And again, keep in mind, compare this 6x6 to this 2x4, which this is stock tire, yeah. So that is the settings button on the bottom left here. This is where you have all of your settings. General, input, and console. So those are my settings. My render distance should be way higher. I don't know why I don't have that. I don't specifically care about the grass quality, to be honest. I have a decently powerful device, so yeah, I'm okay with the rest of that. Certain trucks do have certain loads, like that one white passenger carrier load that I was able to put on. That is like the second lightest load available for my truck. That one doesn't show for all of them. I'm pretty sure it's only for ones with the longer rear. Because it takes quite a lot of space and it sits on the back of the truck. But it's a good little truck for running up and down. Now, note the Lost Town map, the spawn at the very, very top. How I exited out to the right, I turned right at that stop sign. If you turn left, there's another trailer station there. You cannot pick up a trailer station there from spawn. Off of the initial spawn joining into the server. You cannot pick up a trailer from there. You have to go to the bottom and drop off a trailer there, and then you can pick up a trailer to take back to the bottom. So you can run just from the spawn to the bottom of the mountain and run literally just that spawn hill and run that up and down, and that's a breeze. We came down that hill at 70. Did we come down at 70 kilometers an hour, or were we going faster than that? I don't remember. The hill that I was talking about, stability, of how the 6x6s have more stability than the 4-wheel drive, but the 4-wheel drives have more agility. That hill that we're coming down after first spawn, you can just go up and down that and go between the trailer station that's to the left of spawn and the one that we first picked up our first load at, and then we went up the mountain. So there's the spawn mountain, and then there's the other mountain that we were going up. And then there's the massive long trail all the way to the end, which is brutal and gruesome trail, but it is fun. The next time I get in here, I'll likely be using this or possibly the other 6x6 if I get the other 6x6 by then. The videos, so if you watch ads for money, which is what that watch the video and get a reward thing is, that pays 10k per ad, and you can watch one ad every hour. So you can make 10k an hour passively, not even playing the game, just opening it every hour, letting an ad play, and then closing it and continuing doing whatever you're doing, and then an hour later open it, play an ad, and And that's 10K every time you do that. 10K, 10K, 10K. And that paid for this truck, literally, because it's just 50 ads. Well, that's just 50 hours that I opened my phone, let an ad play, and closed it. Well, that's what, 60 seconds of my day? 50 times? That's maybe an hour of my time for 500K. We just spent 2 hours. Right? So you do the comparison there and it's like, wow, actually that's really good money compared to time consumption. You watch an ad and you make more in less time. You make 10K in 30 seconds. 2 minutes at most if you're counting opening the game, letting the game load, watch the ad, close the game. I'd say probably that takes 2 minutes roughly. Roughly 120 seconds to open the game, let the game fire up, and watch the ad. It likely takes 60 seconds for the game to start, and likely you can get up to a 60-second ad. But normally sometimes they're 10 seconds, sometimes they're 30 seconds, sometimes they're 15 seconds, sometimes they're 45 seconds. But even if it is a 60-second ad, if you were to go off the basis of it being a 60-second ad, that's 2 minutes every time. Well, $500,000 truck, that's 50 ads. That's 10K in ads, 50 ads. That only equates to 100 minutes. That's not even 2 hours. And you make a full 500,000. We came in here with 200,000 plus. And we're at 250,000. Sure, we had some damages along the way. Even if you were to add, say we didn't flood our truck, and we only had to pay for our fuel costs, and we'll subtract an extra, say it was 16,000 to repair our truck after it flooded, and we had a few times where we had to repair it on minor damages. So let's say 30,000. Even if we add that, we would only be at 280,000. And that's under the premises of us having not taken damage. We would only be at 280,000. And that's still only an 80K profit at max, because we started with at least 200,000. And that was a 2-hour time frame. And in less than 2 hours of total ad time, of including starting the game to watch the ad, which you don't even have to watch. Look away from your phone for 30 seconds, whatever, right? Have a conversation with somebody and just let it play and click the X, and when it's done, put your phone in your pocket, whatever, right? Watch TV, watch another show, do something else in background. There's so many ways to make it passive where it's not even taking up any actual time of your day, that it becomes an extremely efficient way to grind money. The problem becomes grinding GRT, which I grind from the cash boxes that we found because I find it's better, and I get GRT naturally from my natural hauls. But I don't really focus on grinding GRT because you don't need too much GRT for things. So it's a really, really good way to get RT at the start, because upgrades can be expensive, because tires especially. What you'll want off the start when you're building your truck is you want tires and power. Now, with the starter truck, I honestly wouldn't even recommend doing anything to it. Honestly, I would say leave it just bone dry stock. The 2-wheel drive 130. Leave it bone dry stock. put all of your money from passive ads, literally just passively throughout the day, do ads. And if you can get to, I think it was 500K for that 4x4. Yeah, it was 500K for the 4x4. I think. I don't remember. It was either 500,000 or less than, somewhere around 500K. I would just literally watch the 50 ads and at the end of the week buy the truck and then get into running the mountain that I run and run the lightest load you can on the uphill and the heaviest load you can on the downhill and just take your time with it. Do what I do, use fifth gear and light throttle for all of the flat road, because you want to travel as far distance as possible with as minimal fuel consumption as possible, which means you want as high speed possible on the flat road that you have while still saving fuel. So that's why I run fifth gear, half throttle, and it's quite efficient in terms of money making. If you run that, you can run either of the two mountains and make good money. If you're wanting to just jump into it right away and you don't want to do the ads, I would recommend just running the spawn mountain from the spawn to the bottom, back up to the spawn, back to the bottom, back up to the spawn, and just keep running that until you get the 4-wheel drive. I wouldn't recommend attacking the mountain that I was running without 4-wheel drive, because it can be quite a pain. It's not worth the struggle. You end up burning more fuel than money you make, and it ends up becoming more effective at that point to just run the spawn mountain, which is why I'm recommending with the 2-wheel drives that you just run the spawn mountain, because it's more time efficient money wise, more money and time efficient. So that's my recommendation from my personal experience. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4-wheel drives. Not 4-wheel drives, 2-wheel drives. 5 2-wheel drives. Which, out of all of them, this one does the best. This one might actually be able to run up that mountain with the lightest load possible. Because you can do it, it's just not as fuel efficient as it would be for you to go up the other mountain. And by the time you've gotten up the other mountain, you will have burned so much more fuel than you would have going on the spawn mountain that it basically balances out to the same pay, but you spend more time than you would have if you'd have just run the spawn mountain. So you basically trade time for experience, right? If you want the experience of running the more difficult mountain, it costs you time. You end up making roughly the same with the 2-wheel drives if you're to use the lightest loads possible going up. And even then, I have seen some people struggle with certain lines because it does require a little bit of finesse in some certain spots. But the main 2 spots that I slow down at are the only 2 spots you really have to worry about. sharp incline after the left hook that comes right after the first rough spot. That incline is really steep. That's why I always get a good amount of momentum going up that. That one can give you troubles too, but yeah, it's all just a matter of experience for time and time for money. And this thing has not been tended to in a long time, to say the least. I probably should tend to it and make it a better truck and actually start using it, because I really like COEs, and it's a Chevy COE, and I do like Chevys, and I think it looks amazing. I love the paint job I put on it. It's upgraded paint job, upgraded front bumper, and upgraded tires, but I should put better tires on it and give it more power and actually start using it. And just quickly, we'll look at what I would do. And I'm still iffy on that front bumper. I'm not fully sold on it. I don't want fully cleaned up look, but yeah, you can get some really massive tires. But you need more power to turn bigger tires. So, pros and cons. I think that honestly suits it best. And we could get that right now. Ooh, tough one. Do we upgrade the COE and pour some good money into it and get it proper tires and give it power? Or do we buy our next 6x6? That's the bumper it comes with. I'm trying to see the difference in ground clearance. I feel like this one is up a little bit more, but it pokes out further. I think we'll keep the bumper we have on it now. The bumper we have on it now also has a higher protection rating than what these ones would. Originally, when this game was first released, we used to have a percentage. It used to show you what percentage of armor it would add, or durability it would add. Paint, it's sticking with this paint. I don't know how much I paid for this paint. I just know it was expensive, and I really like this paint. And I'm very much debating in buying those specific tires, rims and tires, because they do look a lot nicer and give it a lot more ground clearance than what I have on it, and it would give it more grip. See, this is level 5 in power, but it could still use more power. It's only rear-wheel drive, which is why I would want those tires on it. It'd be nice. I like the dually factor I have with it right now, though. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. What is my 6x6 we were just in? The 157. See, the 131 6x6 is 520k, I believe. This is level 3, okay. So it did a lot better It had less power than I gave it credit for, which means it did better than I assumed. So that's a plus. That's a bonus. Got up to level 24, got a little bit into level 24. We will definitely make progress off camera. By the next time we make a video, we very well may have a whole new truck. We may have a lot of things done. But I will make more progress on RTHD videos in the future, soon. I don't know when. But RTHD is going to be progressing, and I am going to be making more RTHD videos just for the entertainment of myself and everybody else who enjoys watching it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the content, and I will see you guys in the next video.